I'm Mary Pritchard, and I'll be the moderator for this candidates forum. The League of Women Voters of Schenectady County and the Schenectady American Association of University Women are pleased to present this candidate forum that will allow you to meet the candidates who are seeking seats in the election on November 7th. First, a little bit about the procedure. Each candidate will give an opening statement of 2 minutes. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question provided from the audience. There are 3x5 cards that are being distributed for you to write your questions. You can then hand them to our our women voter representatives over in the corner with her hand up, Joan and Helen. Okay. The League will review the questions to prevent duplication and to assure that the question is directed at the candidate, all candidates. Please note that the question should be clear and not contain any personal attacks on any candidate. A timer is present, we have our timers right up in the front, is present to inform the candidates when they are at half point and when their time is up. She will hold up a yellow sign at the half point and a red sign at the ending point. If you see a red sign, please end your sentence as soon as possible. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to give a concluding statement after the question period. I will rotate the questions so each person has a fair chance to be first in answering the question. The audience is asked to hold its applause until the end of the program in order to allow candidates a fair forum. And please turn off your cell phones so they do not interfere with this program. The League of Women Voters and the American Association of University Women are nonpartisan organizations and do not endorse candidates for office. The League does support issues and tries to educate the community about those issues. Another note, literature on the candidates can be found on the table in the back of the room. Now to introduce the candidates, and we're going to start with the county legislators. And if they would please come up, you'll see their names right here, and take a seat. Thank you. Okay, and I'll pass the microphone. So they're just going to say their names so you know who they are. And then they're going to pass the microphone back to me. And then we'll start with the 1 minute time. Excuse me, I'll pass.
Good evening, Dominic Kazmauskas.
My name is Eric Hess.
Good evening, Randy Pasquarello.
And Holly Volano.
Thank you. Now, each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide an overview of themselves. And we'll start right here.
Thank you. My name again, Dominic Kazmauskas, a 10-year resident of Rotterdam on Giffords Church Road. You may not be able to spell it, you may not be able to remember it, but you'll recognize it on November 7th. The father of 1, grandfather of 3, husband of 1, not necessarily in that order. My mother's family has many relatives through the Hudson Valley area, mostly in Saratoga and Schenectady, above and below ground. My wife Janet has family history here as well in Schenectady in the early 1900s. Myself, 4 years active, United States Army, honorably discharged, good conduct medal, 30 years plus volunteer firefighter, EMT, reserve police officer. Let's see, where else can we go with that? All over the place, but mostly 30 years in volunteer fire departments. Also part-time fire inspector and past part-time fire instructor, Bergen County Fire Academy in New Jersey. I'm presently employed by the National Fire Sprinkler Association, been with them for 16 years as a New York regional manager. I also cover Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. Motorcycle enthusiast, life member of the National Rifle Association, life member of the 101st Airborne Association. Although I'm not a professional politician, this is my first run into politics outside of private associations. I have worked with state legislation, local laws, et cetera, in my full-time job as well as my past as a volunteer firefighter. My time as in the fire service has afforded me a lot of experience in the areas of negotiation, compromise, working on issues, and trying to make everybody happy in the end. That's one thing, is being on several national committees. I learned about committees that if somebody walks out of a committee with a smile, somebody got away with something. If everybody walks out pretty normal looking, then compromise was done, and it was a good meeting. I look forward to using some of these skills in Schenectady. And as I noted earlier, I'm not a professional politician. One day, Janet, my wife, had seen the ad in the paper, that the article in the paper, the Republican committee was looking for to run 2 candidates for county legislator. That's when I got the kick in the shin underneath the breakfast table, and here I am. Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank the American Association of University Women and the League of Women Voters for this opportunity today. Born and raised in Schenectady in Scotia. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. I went to Draper School, graduated from Scotia Glenville High School. My 2 sons also graduated from Scotia Glenville High School. My grandfather worked for the Schenectady Bus Company and retired from the Schenectady Chemical Company. My father worked at GE for 42 plus years. My mother retired as a nurse after 45 years. I'm working full-time, attended courses at Hudson Valley, Schenectady County Community College, and Siena College, nights and weekends. I'm currently employed as an outside sales engineer. My responsibilities are communicating and partnering with design engineers, municipalities, land developers, new home builders, providing water treatment, sewer treatment, and collection system design assistance and solution. My company represents many leading manufacturers and equipment used for water and wastewater treatment. I'm a member of several organizations: the New York Rural Water Association, Water Environment Federation, New York Water Environment Association, American Water Works, Atlantic States, Home Builders and Remodelers Association. I'm a member of the NRA, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. I decided to run for county legislator because for many years I've seen my local town struggle with its annual budget, unable to accomplish many needed projects, particularly infrastructure projects. Crime has steadily increased. I'd like to come up with some programs to reduce crime involving the community, the county, and our local towns. I have seen property values decline, taxes increase. Many residents love Rotterdam, Schenectady, Duanesburg, and just can't afford the taxes anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening once again. I'm Randy Pascarella. I've been a resident of Rotterdam for 41 years. I have 4 children. All 4 are boys. I'm currently married. I live in the Becker Crossing neighborhood. I've been on the county legislative board for 4 years. I was the chairman of the Conservative Party, Schenectady County Conservative Party, for 10 years. I stepped down from that when I was elected as a legislator. I'm still a sitting member of the party. I was a vice president of Rotterdam Little League for 14 years. I've coached over 4,000 children in my life. I'm a sitting member and vice president of Rotterdam Babe Ruth right now. I'm a member of the Eastern State New York Baseball Association, the Empire State Baseball Association. I'm an umpire. I'm a sports enthusiast. My full-time job is I'm a director of sales for the largest distributor of tires and wheels in the United States and North America. And in the last 4 years sitting on the board, we've brought you 0 tax increases and a 1% decrease in your levy this year. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the AAUW and the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's forum. My name is Holly Villano. I'm a member of the Schenectady County Legislature, and I proudly chair the Committee on Environmental Conservation, Renewable Energy, and Parks. I also chair the Committee on Libraries and Education, and I serve on the Board of Directors for the county's Soil and Water Conservation District. The county has many financial obligations and many New York State unfunded mandates. However, over the last several years, our tax burden for our residents has remained flat. And last year, as Randy mentioned, we had a 0 tax increase, and this year, a 1% tax decrease for our residents, and we're very proud of that. Some of the agencies and their services that provide many, that are funded by the county and are made available to all the residents of Schenectady County are some of these, but not all. The Sheriff's Department, the County Jail, the Public Defender, the County Clerk, the District Attorney, Public Health, the Department of Social Services, the Central Library with its 8 branches, the Glendale Home, Schenectady County Community College, the Veterans Service Agency, Children and Family Services, Senior and Long-Term Care, the County Airport, the Recreational Facility and Ice Rink. This was a big responsibility that we do not take for granted, and we work very hard at. I just want to say, I have a couple seconds. I am married. I have 2 children and 6 grandchildren. I've been a resident of the county for my whole life, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I love serving on the Schenectady County Legislature, and I would be very thrilled to have another term. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to continue on to the question part, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. And I will read the question, and then we'll start right here on my left and go down the line for this first question. How would you solve the unbalanced distribution of the county's sales tax distribution so that the towns get their fair share?
How did we know that question was coming? We need to take a good look to see where the money's going to. We need to take it line by line. From what I understand, 75% is going back to the county. That sounds a little unbalanced. We have municipalities and the towns, the village that could use the money as well. We're not seeing property taxes go down in the town. How would I actually solve it? Again, very difficult to answer here. There's got to be places to cut. I don't see anybody's taxes going down. I don't see anybody's electric bills going down. I don't see other people's bills going down. But we do need to solve it. We do need to take a look at it. We need to tear it up and put it back together and get the towns their fair share. This is just too much going to one place.
Thank you.
First thing we need to do is force the issue and open it up for discussion on the county legislature. The share is clearly unequal, and our local towns could use the money for infrastructure, for asset management, for preventative repairs on sewers. There's been a significant increase in sales tax revenue in Glenville, in Scotia, in Niskayuna. I'm out of time almost. So it needs to be opened up. First thing I would do is open it up for discussion. Thank you.
I do agree that, I agree with Eric that we need to sit down and just have a discussion, but just to let you all know, out of the 7 entities that receive tax distribution from the county, there's only 2 entities that are larger than the town of Rotterdam. Rotterdam's distribution is $3.6 million. Scotia Glenville is $3.3 million. Niskayuna is $3.2 million. $12 million goes to the city of Schenectady, and $8 million goes to Metroplex, and about another $700,000 goes to Lansing and Duanesburg, and that's a distribution of $31 million plus. So I'm sure we can talk, and I think the best way to sit down and talk about this is we may be able to find some better solutions in the towns to save some money. You can't always, there's only 2 ways to raise this, okay? Is you have to have more revenue, and you have to reduce spending. So I think you start with reduced spending first, and then we'll move on to revenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that this contract was agreed upon in 2012 and it expires in 2020. If you look across the state, there are 11 counties in the state that do not distribute their sales tax revenue. Schenectady County distributes 33.7% to others in our county. The average for the state is 27.5%, so I think at this point in time, I think it is a fair distribution. What we don't think about, part of the county, we have a unique entity, which is the Metroplex. If you look at the town of Rotterdam and all the progress in the last few years, look at Capitol Homes, look at down at the mall, the hundreds of new employees that are there are all brought here because of Metroplex. If anybody lives in South Schenectady, take a look at the industrial park. It is bursting at the seams. New jobs, and they all are related to the town of Rotterdam.
Okay, our second question is, as a county legislator, how can you offer continued tax relief for our residents? And this time we'll start. Thank you.
We offer tax relief by reducing costs. The only way to offer tax relief is to reduce spending, and we need to learn to live within our means as a county and as a town. There's been a significant increase in tax revenue generated by Metroplex, by economic development. With our local towns need that money. We have a tax cap to live within, and the only way we can sustain or maintain our town infrastructure is getting additional revenue. Thank you.
Well, I think we delivered on that this year. You're going to be 1% below the tax levy, so I think the county has been delivering on that. Next year, that could go to 2.3. I believe we maybe budgeted out for that, and that's done by good management. That's done by cost savings, generating more revenue, and that's what Metroplex does for the county. They generate tax revenue, which reduces the levies to the towns. So I think we're doing that as we speak. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that one thing that we look at is shared services in the town, in the county. We have our county manager, some of our legislators that meet with the other municipalities and brainwash on ways to save our taxpayers money. We have many shared services, one of which is going to happen in the future. We're buying new fuel tanks for the county highway, which will be shared by the town of Rotterdam, as well as Princetown and another local fire department. Talking about solar energy, we are saving our taxpayers thousands of dollars in energy costs with our 4th solar farm, which will be taking place in the next couple of weeks. We're going to generate 3 million kilowatts of energy. Again, a huge savings for our residents. And at the same time, we are trying to be a green county and eliminating some of our CO2 emissions. Also, as far as shared services are concerned, we have energy saving initiatives within the county. Sorry.
And again, it's a matter of taking a look line by line, dissecting the budgets to see where we can cut. Although the county has had a zero increase the other year, we're looking at a 1% decrease coming up. Overall, individual families are looking at rising healthcare costs, fuel costs, heating oil costs. Taxes are going up still. There's got to be an answer to it. All these cuts are great, but when it trickles down, you're getting a dime back and the dollar's going up. And we need to take a look and see where we can stop this. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question is, how would you address the ever-growing senior citizen population in Schenectady County? And this time we'll start with Randy.
Well, I think we're doing that as a county. I mean, unfortunately, there's a cost involved there, and that cost is the nursing home. And the county does provide the nursing home to our senior citizens. We also provide a lot of other services to the seniors. There's, the whole part of the social senior network that we have at the county. Yeah, we are an aging society. Whoever isn't there yet is going to be there soon, and that's just evolution right now, the way things are. So I think we're addressing it as it comes. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've been continuing addressing the concern about seniors. We have a huge population of senior citizens in our county. When I was a member of the Rotterdam Town Board, I took it upon myself to really look at affordable senior housing. And I'm very proud to say that we have 3 in the town of Rotterdam: the Edison Apartments, Holly Manor, and through DePaul Management, the Father Leo O'Brien off of Carmen Road. And those are all subsidized for our seniors. And I think it's a great funding thing for our seniors. Also, on the county level, we have the senior and long-term care that serve our residents very well. They give nutritional education. We also have for people that are homebound, we have meals delivered to them. We also take care of some of their personal care as far as bathing and preparing foods, and also transportation to some of their doctor's appointments. So I think we are well on the way of taking care of our seniors. Thank you.
We need to take a look, again, at the budget at the home. I hear it's losing money each year. I don't know why government isn't a private business. There's privatized businesses out there that run nursing homes for a profit, and I think we need to take a good look at why the county is in the private nursing home industry.
It's a very good question, and actually, to be honest, I really haven't thought about it. I don't have an answer for the question. I'm going to have to defer and study up on that. So,
Okay, thank you. And our next question is, what are your views on the county library system? And this time we start with Holly.
My views, I think our Schenectady County Public Library is second to none. We have a wonderful central library that has been renovated in the last few years. We also have 8 branches that we maintain, and I think everybody is very happy about that. Last year, the Born Library we created maybe a year and a half ago, and it's more successful than we could have even hoped for. And tomorrow morning, there will be a wrecking ball on Crane Street to start the demolition for the Mount Pleasant Library. Our library is expensive. We probably spend $5.9 million for the library, but we have such literacy programs, learning programs for our youth and our adults. English as a second language. We also have a wonderful volunteer group, the Friends of the Library, that are invaluable to the county, and the Board of Trustees is always looking for ways of funding to bring more funds into our library. Thank you.
Thank you. Comes back down to Don.
The library system, I've heard nothing but good stories about the library system. Don't think there's too much we need to take a look at there. Again, I'm a big fan of looking at the books and seeing where the money's going, seeing where we can cut, if we can cut, but we definitely have to watch for programs, especially when it comes to the children. This is one of the few places they have to go that's a resource for them to get what they need in their education.
I think the county library is fantastic. I spent a lot of time at the downtown library going to college. I utilized the quiet space in the library itself for research during college and school. It's a fantastic offering. I think that it's underutilized. I think that we need to use more social media maybe more after-school programs for kids. There's a lot of latchkey kids out there that they have a lot of time after school before the parents get home, maybe help with homework and things like that. I think the library is fantastic, and it's just we could use it more for our kids. Thanks.
don't want to do a commercial for RIF, but reading is fundamental. And I'm very happy to see that our children, and I know my children do, still go to the library for the resources when they have so many resources at their fingertips on the internet, but they find more resources there. They find it easier to study. And a little bit on the cost-cutting side or cost-saving side, Holly mentioned the Bourne branch. The Bournes have given the county some huge endowments over the years for these libraries, so there is some money being saved there. So, thank you.
Thank you. And our next question is the community college necessary? Dominic, we're going to start with you again.
Yes. Flat out, yes. I don't know what else to add to that. I mean, it's a community college. You know, if there's revenue issues there, then we need to address them. But I know a couple of instructors there in the fire protection programs, and they speak very highly of the community college. And I don't know what we could possibly change there. But in my view, yeah, community college is very necessary to the county.
I think the Schenectady County Community College is very necessary. I think we need to gear some of the programs at the college to train students for real jobs, real businesses. In talking to business owners in Rotterdam and all over the country, the biggest complaint you hear from business owners is getting qualified, trained people, hiring qualified people to do specific jobs. You know, we need to, I think, gear the programs to more relevant businesses and classes for specific jobs. Thanks.
We do have that. We have the culinary program at the college, which is second to none. We just started the gaming program at the college. We have one of the best music programs that money can buy at the Schenectady County Community College, which, you know, those folks can go out and be musicians. One of the other things is, I'm not sure the residents understand this, but for every student in our county that doesn't go to that college and goes to a community college in a different county, we are paid back for that, folks. So the college is self-sufficient, and it's not a bleeder at all whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. The community college is a jewel as far as I'm concerned. Over the last few years, the county has invested over $25 million. And I know a lot of us pass by the front of that college probably every day. But take a moment, drive in the back, the Begley Hall, the School of Business, Elston Hall. They're beautiful. Have an opportunity to go to the Casola dining room. Dinner is fabulous. As Randy mentioned, their programs are super. Their culinary, their air traffic controller. Also, I'm very proud to say last week or 2 weeks ago, the school received a $1.8 million grant to help students that are unprepared to go to college. And it is yesterday or the day before yesterday, they received a very competitive grant of $1 million that, get this, students at Schenectady High School can get a 2-year degree and their associates for a college education before they graduate from high school, and they can move on to 4-year college. So I think that's tremendous, so thank you.
And our last question for the county legislators is, if elected, how can you assist our veterans? And we'll start with Eric.
Well, right now, Dominic and I attended a forum in Duanesburg. The veterans that reside in the town of Duanesburg are lobbying to get an exemption for a veterans exemption off of school tax. So we're going to support them in getting that school exemption. It's a minimal amount of money, but it would be a major help to some of these older, retired veterans that really need the help. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, or I'm going to do. Thanks.
And we do have veteran exemptions, not in all districts, and we are working on that. You know, we have the Veterans Affairs Department. We we also, we share in those same things in all those other towns and go to all those forums and hear, I salute anyone that's a veteran who served for their country. There's no greater gift to the people sitting in this room is the safety and protection that those people provided for us our whole life. So we're all for the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a very fine veteran service agency that helps in schooling our veterans that are coming back that have a difficult time finding a job. They need to have paperwork done for the VA or how to handle the benefits that they are entitled to. So that service agency does a fabulous job. A few years ago, the county received the designation as a Purple Heart County, and we're very proud of that. Also, this past year, the Schenectady County Legislature funded money to help to purchase a vehicle for the DAV. The DAV for the last 20 years has provided transportation for our veterans in Schenectady County to go to the VA for doctor's appointments, and we're very happy to have helped them with that. Also, the county has a Return the Favor program, which is a purchasing discount program for not only veterans, but active military in Schenectady County. They go to their merchant, they show their card, which as long as they have their DD-214 that is filed with the Schenectady County, they're entitled to those benefits. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question. As a veteran, very close to my heart, looking for opportunities wherever we can to assist our veterans, especially as they get towards retirement age. Many of them out there are in dire straits and desperate need of any breaks they can get. Johannesburg was very eye-opening in how much $20, $30 in tax savings on their school taxes meant to a retiree who was a veteran. These are people, I was in peacetime, but a lot of these people, the veterans I met the other night, they wrote that blank check that said my life on it, and they deserve anything we can give them for what they were prepared to do to protect our country. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to ask each of the candidates to give a concluding statement. 2 minutes for the concluding statement. And we're going to start with Randy.
2 minutes goes quick. In the last 4 years serving on the county ledge, we have worked very collaboratively with everyone on the board. I don't know if anybody watches any of our meetings, but it's sometimes you're watching the town meetings and they tend to have a little tension in the air. We don't have that. We all work together. I always tell people, some nights the meetings can be pretty boring because no one's tossing an arrow over the well. We all work together. And I bring my business background with me into the county. I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't spend money that doesn't need to be spent. It bothers me when I see people spending money that don't need to be spent. My daily life is like that. My business life is like that, and my political life is like that. I will never, ever, ever spend anybody's money in this building or any constituent that I don't think is the right thing to do. I would never vote for that. So, and I bring that business mind to you. I bring a business mind to government. And I think that's why I was elected last time, and if you elect me again this time, I'll bring that same cheer to you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for hosts, for providing this forum tonight, and thank you all for coming. It's great to see such a great crowd of people that are interested in politics. Hard to believe, right? It truly has been a pleasure serving the residents of the community these last few years. The recent progress of Schenectady County is nothing short of astonishing. A centralized dispatch, soon to be revitalized Hamburg Street, the repurposing of the former Draper School. Remember what that looked like a year or two ago? It looks tremendous now. I said that, and the creation of the land bank, which we didn't have an opportunity to talk about today. The refurbishing of the Plotterkill Preserve. $600,000 we'll be spending in the next year or so trying to make that preserve safer for all our residents in Rotterdam and surrounding areas. We also have 3 solar farms and a 4th nearing its completion, probably by the end of November, I'm thinking, saving our taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars and decreasing our CO2 emissions, as I mentioned earlier. And also, we can't forget the redevelopment of the riverfront property along the Mohawk River. I would be honored to serve the residents of Schenectady one more time, and I hope I have your support on November 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As a legislator, I look at every opportunity to cut corners, to cut spending, whatever we can do to bring it back to our citizens. I've said this before through answering the questions. There's not enough analysis being done. You can't tell me that the smallest county on the face of the earth costs this much to live in. And I go into this looking at the fact that the governments aren't inherently getting our tax dollars. It's a gift to them from the people of the county. All right, it's the people's money. There's got to be some way to chop this back. It's just ludicrous how small Schenectady County is. And you look at some of the other counties with the same density, with less spending and with less tax problems and less tax pressure on their citizens. There has got to be something better we can do. 1% decrease is not enough. There's got to be something we can do. And I plan to look at everything line by line with the help of everybody. Thank you.
I plan to make a difference as a county legislator by improving communication between Rotterdam, Princetown, and Duanesburg and the Schenectady County Legislature. I've already been working on developing relationships with town board members, town supervisors, public works directors. My goal is to begin working together to lower our budget costs, yet accomplish much needed projects, not only in District 4, but our surrounding districts, Niskayuna, Glenville, and Scotia. It will be a primary goal as a county legislator to have a finger on the pulse of the district I represent. Significant costs can be saved by having an active asset management program within each town. An active asset management program is proactively making repairs and maintenance on our water system, on our sewer system, and our roads, and our stormwater system. I like to work together between the community, the town, and the county with the public libraries, improving literacy. I'd like to feed the curiosities of our youth. Our kids are starved have a thirst for learning already. I'd rather have them in the libraries and doing other activities to keep them off the streets, thus reducing crime, drugs. I'd like to come up with some programs for job training, maybe internship opportunities sponsored by local businesses. Again, local businesses, most of them say they have a difficult time finding trained employees. It costs money to train people into jobs, and a lot of people want to work. A lot of people don't want to be on public assistance. They really do want to work. So we just need to get them the training that they need to contribute to our town and themselves. So thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes the part for our county legislators, and I think they deserve a round of applause. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone down, and they're just going to tell you their names to start with for the town board position.
My name's Lisa Dufek. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Rapazzo.
Hi, Joseph Gittarelli. And I'm Stephen M. Signori.
Thank you. And now we'll start with a 2-minute presentation telling about yourself and the position you're hoping to win in the election.
My name is Lisa Dufek. I'm running for Rotterdam Town Board. I am a lifelong resident of the town who truly believes in making Rotterdam a nice place to live. This is the place my husband, Mike, and I chose to start a business, raise our 2 sons, Nick and Michael Anthony, who now has 2 daughters of his own, Chloe and Kinley, my grandchildren. I devoted decades of tireless efforts to improving the quality of life for my family and fellow residents. I've been a community leader and volunteer for many worthy organizations which serve our residents. I aided the recovery efforts in Rotterdam Junction following the devastation of Hurricane Irene, not only in a hands-on capacity, distributing food, clothing, and bedding to the needy, but also after the fact on a grant steering advisory committee known as New York Rising. I'm an enthusiastic supporter and fundraiser for the Tri-County Challengers, which operates a baseball league for physically and mentally challenged players. These players mean the world to me, and I truly enjoy supporting them. I also serve as a trustee of the Shawnee Volunteer Fire Department Auxiliary and as an advisory member of the town's Parks Committee. I have been caring for the elders of our community as a certified home health aide for over 20 years, while also nurturing the youth in our schools as a special needs support staff member at Mahonison. In all of these roles, I developed the compassion, the empathy, fundraising abilities, budgeting skills, and the insight into the needs of my fellow residents. Earlier this year, I lost my dear husband of 32 years to cancer. The outpouring of the love and support from the community in my family's time of need renewed my devotion to find ways to give back even more. All of these experiences make me uniquely qualified to hear the concerns of the people and advocate for the best interest. That's why I am seeking your support on Election Day. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Rapazzo, and I'm your candidate for Rotterdam Town Board. I want to thank you for coming out tonight, and I'd like to thank the organizers of this event. Professionally, I am an attorney mainly serving the residents of Rotterdam and Schenectady County. I hold a BA in psychology and earned my law degree in 2003. Prior to becoming an attorney for 11 years, I worked in group homes servicing at-risk youth. At that point, I realized those children needed competent legal representation, and I did just that. I went to law school, and a large part of my practice is working as a law guardian, representing children in our community in both criminal and family courts. I also have the privilege of representing seniors who need affordable legal counsel. I'm married to Charles Hawes, a lifelong resident of Rotterdam. Charles and I have a son who is a graduate of Mahonison High School, works as a U.S. postal employee in Rotterdam, and is a recently enlisted U.S. Marine. We also have a daughter attending 3rd grade at Pinewood Elementary. People in our community ask me most often is why? Why are you running for town board? And my answer is simple. I live here, I raise a family here, I own and operate a small business that services our residents. I want to do what is best for this community. I'm active in this community as a Rotterdam Town Pop Warner board member, and I'm deeply involved in my children's school activities. I now want to be a board member to contribute to our community further. I believe Rotterdam is on the right track. I want to join this town board to contribute to helping our town be successful. Like you, I desire what is best for our community and desire continued fiscal responsibility, open and transparent government, smart growth that will increase the tax base and balance the needs of our neighborhoods and residents with our need to grow, and ensuring that we as a community have more parks and human services. I openly support our highway department, fire department, EMS, and our police force. I will support senior housing and access to local medical services. I will work towards ensuring we have a better community for all of us, all of our families, all of our children, and all of our seniors. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the League and the opportunity to be here. I'm Joseph Guidarelli, a registered conservative with the Republican, Reform, and Green Party endorsements. In 2007, I served on the Rotterdam Town Board under the appointment of Mr. Tomazone and the Republican majority. I was born and raised in Rotterdam with my 6 siblings, and I'm a 1980 Shellman graduate. I've been married this Saturday for 34 years to my wife. Who was very supportive. To Together, we raised our 3 children in the Monessen School District. I'm president and COO of Perform Elise Trophies, a company started by my father that has been in business for more than half a century. As a small business owner, I am forced to manage under the mindset of how to decrease overhead while generating more revenue. We must operate smarter, more efficiently, and ultimately do more with less. I feel our town is not moving in the right direction, and that is my reason for running for town board, because this is where I live, and this is where I call home, and this is where my family and friends are. My experience as a lifelong resident and business owner involved in our community will allow me to positively impact our town so it is more efficient and accountable to you, the taxpayers. We need a business-minded approach to government at all times. We must use common sense and logic when making decisions in order to maximize our budget dollars through efficiencies, best business practices, and shared services. Some of the ways I hope to accomplish these goals are implementing a hiring freeze, eliminate the elected position and benefit package of receiver of taxes, recommend the town no longer collect school taxes, utilize available technologies to enhance services, immediately implement a moratorium on apartments and other major building projects until our comprehensive plan is updated, propose legislation to make the town supervisor position a 4-year full-time position. Public safety is my #1 priority. We need to maximize our budget dollars to enable our police department to better protect us. And finally, we need to get our fair share of the new sales tax revenue from the county. There are millions of dollars this administration, for some reason, is not asking for, and if they defend why they are not, it only proves they are not looking out for Rotterdam's best interest.
Thank you, AAUW and the League of Women Voters, for the privilege to speak before you in this audience this evening. I also want to thank my running mates, especially Rachel Rapazzo, who has helped me and supported me these past 5 months during my run for town board. And lastly, I want to thank one of my opponents for instilling in me the desire to win this election. Raised in Rotterdam, I went to the old John Bigsby Elementary School, the Mohonasen Junior High, and the Mohonasen High School, where I graduated with a Regents Diploma. Graduated with honors from Union College with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering and a concentration in mathematics. After college, I started working for the Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory. And after 2 years of doing that, I decided I didn't owe enough money in student loans, so I left and decided to go to law school, where I obtained my Juris Doctorate degree in 1990. I immediately started my career at the Schenectady County Public Defender's Office, where I'm the department head for that office now, and have been so for the last 2.5 years. And before that, I was the department head for the Schenectady County Conflict Defender's Office, and I held that position for 3 years. I have served the public and the people of Schenectady County for nearly 3 decades, and my responsibilities of being the department head of 2 law offices has taught me leadership, management, and public relations skills. Budgeting, grant writing, and representing over 6,000 people a year who can't afford an attorney are some of my responsibilities. I've been an adjunct professor for the College of St. Rose and the Schenectady County Community College. But the greatest job, however, is being the proud father of a beautiful 14-year-old girl who's in the audience here tonight, taking notes and grading me after this is all over. My agenda tonight is simple, and it's to answer those questions that are asked of me as directly, honestly, and earnestly as I can. I anticipate, based on social media and intuition, that some questions will include fair share of sales taxes, conflicts of interest, and the need for more attorneys on the town board. My goal tonight is even simpler, to convince the AAUW, the League of Women Voters, and the people of Rotterdam of my sincerity and ability to be on the Rotterdam Town Board. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with questions for the town board. And the first question is, what would be your budget priorities? And we'll start with Lisa.
Well, first I'd like to say we have a spending addiction in this town. We need to do more with less. I would like to go through the budget, analyzing budgets of every department and balancing the budget through sharing resources. Sharing resources is generally is good as long as it is actually saving taxpayers' money, not like the failure across the street. 10% of every dollar the town collects in its general fund goes to support the county contract.
The budget priorities that I would have was to continue to give this town every services it needs within the budget that we have. This year, our town has a 1% decrease in our property taxes. I have been through the budget. I've been through the budget line by line. And from what I see, we have spending within our means. We have sources of revenue, and those sources of revenue have to be stayed at a certain point so that we can provide our town and our county with all the services that it needs. Our taxes have been lowered. With shared services, we are saving money. The shared services, just for example, to piggyback on Holly Villano, the solar panels and the Solar Energy Consortium has saved us $525,000. The LED municipal lighting has saved us almost $200,000. Municipal healthcare has saved us close to $800,000. The Unified Communication Center, the shared fueling station, the purchasing cooperative. There are a lot of shared services that are saving us money currently. But what we need to do is make sure that our spending is within our budget. Thank you.
Some of the things I would do to help the budget, I mentioned in my opening, I would implement a hiring freeze. It seems this town is just always anxious to fill positions that become vacant. Filling vacant positions is, I think, missing an opportunity to downsize and possibly cross-train and share services among departments. And that eliminates benefit packages and pensions and long-term liabilities that, future administrations will have to cover. Again, I said eliminate the elected position and benefit packages of receiver taxes. That's quite a bit of money that would go right to the bottom line. That's something we can outsource that other towns outsource. Another item we could outsource payroll. We have a large staff in our comptroller's office that, not saying could be cut or fired or let go, but I think we could share services among that department as well and get somebody that is more efficient and better versed at doing payroll.
Thank you. My budget priorities, well, as Rachel has pointed out, we're going to be showing a less of an imposition on the tax levy for 2018, approximately $32,000. And I guess the answer would be that it appears that we've got our priorities in order. The budget seems to be working. If we're coming in less than what we had the year before, we must be doing something right. But to add to that, I'd like to continue the relationship that we have with Metroplex. They are infusing a lot of money. That money is going to go into our infrastructure. I will be able to spread the wealth, work on the projects, and continue the projects that we have envisioned, and also to hopefully put in and implement other projects, for example, improving our sidewalks, improving our roads, improving the infrastructure, helping out with the drainage issue down at the junction. So that's where I would be looking to want to maintain my priorities, to make sure that we're continuing to do what we're doing and that we don't fall afoul of spending more than we have coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is your opinion on shared services? And this time, we're going to start with Rachel.
My opinion on shared services is do it when it works. I just gave a list of the amount of money that we are saving with shared services. It is significant. At times, it doesn't work because we have to maintain control of our town. So if at times we have a situation where we say we'll have the county plow our roads, well, if we let the county take something like that over, then how do we know our roads are going to get priority over county roads? But when it does work, it works. And if we can save money doing it, I would fully support it.
I almost want to say what she said. Shared services is a good thing when it works. There's savings and even an increase of services when it's done right.
And I want to say what he said and she said. He's absolutely right, when it works. And you have to realize that sometimes it's not going to work. And sometimes you might have a situation where you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And you don't want that to happen. So what we have in place right now, and Rachel went through it, I don't want to belabor it anymore. I've got the same figure she has. So I will just say that what she said and what Joe said, that shared services, when they work, are great. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'd have to be the fourth to say I agree with what the three said before me, but sharing resources generally is good as long as it is actually saving taxpayers money, not like the Unified Central Dispatch across the street that has not saved us money. 10% of every dollar the town collects in its general fund goes to support the county contract.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is your position on the infrastructure in the town? And this time, we're going to start with Joseph.
The infrastructure in the town, we all know the infrastructure is aging. And there's a lot of new projects going on, and sometimes it seems to me that some of these projects aren't I shouldn't say well thought out. It's almost like, can the town handle these projects? As I said in my opening, I almost feel like this town should impose a moratorium on apartments and other new major projects until our comprehensive plan is updated and we know that our infrastructure can withstand what developments and major projects may be proposed for this town.
Thank you. I think the infrastructure is in need of being fixed, which is in the process of happening and in planning right now. I think the important thing for the town to be is proactive instead of reactive, meaning that we should be looking at those things in our infrastructure that are failing or are archaic, outdated, and that we're spending more money to try to repair them than it may take if we replace them and then get a longer life out of them. We need to be looking at the infrastructure down in the junction. We need to be looking at our roads. I know that there's plans for paving in the over for the High Bridge, and we've also got doing some sidewalk rehabilitation along the Campbell Road. That's just a start. We have we're working on the sewer line there. I think that that's an excellent idea. I think it's going to bring a lot of prosperity to the town. So, like I said, I think it's a long time coming, and we need to be addressing it now. So we're not looking at it and having to react to failures in that infrastructure somewhere along the line. Thank you.
Okay. I support improving infrastructure in the town. It is difficult to attract employers when we do not offer infrastructure to support their minimal needs. Rotterdam charges businesses a higher tax than residential units. Typically, businesses pay 70% more taxes than similar value residential homes, yet use essentially no services. Businesses do not send children to school. Every business we bring in funds the future and reduces the burden of the taxpayer. The town should endorse a plan to provide sewers on all major roads in the town. Sewers create opportunity for business development and create wealth, resulting in increased tax base.
Like I said in my opening, if we balance the needs of our residents with the need to grow, then we're going to we need to improve our infrastructure to allow businesses to come in and balance that against the needs of our residents. One of the things that Rotterdam just secured was a $5 million grant in order to improve the sewer and water lines. That is one way that the town board currently has been able to secure funds that will not be taken out of your pocket. If we improve the infrastructure, we improve our area, and we end up with a higher tax base coming in, which could in turn reduce our costs.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is your position on spot zoning in the town? And I believe this time we start with Stephen.
I think if it benefits the person who's looking for the spot zoning, and it also improves the quality of the town itself, then I would be supporting it. We have all sorts of zonings that we're looking at, and if it's going to be something that's going to benefit the entire or that area, then I would be looking to do it. If it's going to be something that's going to be detrimental to the people around it or harmful to, for example, the environment, then I would probably be opposed to it.
Well, I'm against spot zoning. There's no vision for smart development of our town. It's done haphazardly for the benefit of influential developers at the detriment of the town residents. Residents choose to live in our neighborhoods knowing what they are going to be living there. To disrupt the lives of many for the benefit of one, this is just wrong. Look at the Draper Apartments and the proposed Whispering Pines development, for instance. There is no green space, and it is just packing the people in a single-family and two-family neighborhood, more than 100 families. I am the only candidate who took this issue head-on at a public hearing held at Mahoneson High School.
Spot zoning is an issue that has to be looked at time by time. So every time zoning needs to change or something needs to change, then the board can open it up for people in that community to come in and discuss that issue and have a hearing on that issue. So we could look at that as a residential issue or a business issue, but the people in the community that it's going to affect should have the opportunity to be heard. And I would listen, and then I would make a decision based on the community's needs.
I'm not for spot zoning, and I'm going to bring it back to what I said earlier. I really think the town needs to put the brakes on development and major projects based on the fact that our comprehensive plan, I don't think has been updated in 10 years, and we need to take some time and have our planning and zoning boards sit down and take a few months to analyze this town, where it's going, and what projects are best suited where, not, just fly by the seat of our pants. We have a new project, so hey, let's throw it in front of the zoning board, let's throw it in front of the planning board, and let's make it happen because we need tax revenue. I don't agree with that.
Okay, this question is in two parts. Do you feel it is a conflict of interest for town elected officials to also be on the county payroll? And do you feel it compromises their ability to fight for the best interest of the town? And we're going to start with Lisa this time.
Absolutely, it is a conflict for sure. You cannot serve two masters. Oh, I'm sorry. Today more than ever, we need an independent voice, the people, and not a louder echo for the county. Thank you. Sorry.
I don't believe it's a conflict of interest. When you have a county employee working a 9-to-5 job and then they come into the town in the evening to work, they're working two separate jobs. One of the issues that has been raised is whether or not that person is double dipping. Well, you're double dipping when you work one job and receive two sets of pay. When you work two jobs and receive two sets of pay, then you're working the hours for all of that pay. If there is a conflict, then it's a conflict that anybody paid by any taxpayer would have. There are other members of this board that work for the county. There are other members of this panel, that are paid by taxpayers. So any person here paid by a taxpayer would have a conflict if that were true. But in my opinion, it is not a conflict. There is no compromise between whether or not somebody can actually work as a public defender effectively, as Steve Signor does, and work on the town board. Thank you.
So we're talking about Steve? I think there's always conflicts being in such a close-knitted community. Could there be more with this situation? I think, yeah, there probably could be.
Thank you. No, do I think there's a conflict? No, and I'll tell you why. My office is dedicated to representing those people who cannot afford an attorney. It's a law office. I don't make policy. Maybe I implement a budget for approval. I suggest to the county. I would suggest people get hired. I don't make any decisions at the county level. Therefore, I don't have a conflict in this. But I will tell you this, that if I am elected, I will adhere to all of the ethical guidelines of the town, the county, the ABA, and I will assure you that if a conflict is created, it will be abated, and we've got measures for that, and there's measures in place already for when I have a conflict in my office when it comes to times of representation. So no, there is not a conflict with me doing this. And remember, my job with the the public defender's office is an appointed job. Being on the town board is an elected job. So they're two separate entities, drawing two separate salaries. So I don't know how much time I have left. None. So, okay. I was going to try to get to the double dipping, but.
Okay, our next question is, if elected, how do the voters know you will complete your term so the vote will not be wasted? And this time we start with Rachel.
I've never quit anything in my life. I have worked very hard and I have been very dedicated to represent people in our community for an extremely reduced rate. I have to work harder than most attorneys because I do not take $500 an hour. I generally take a extremely reduced rate to help those who are indigent and the children in our community. When Steve has a conflict in his office, the indigent people come to me, the people who can't afford an attorney. On this board, I am going to work as hard to do that. I volunteered many arenas. I work very hard in the schools. I work very hard in my house raising my family. I work very hard at Rotterdam Pop Warner. I do a lot of things that draw zero salary, and I don't quit. Thank you.
I've been at my business, I think, for 30 plus years, 35 years. I've been married 34 years, and I did not work this hard to get to this point that I am up here, and the amount of time and energy that has been spent campaigning, no way would I not finish out this term.
Thank you. I'm in it to win it. And like Joe said, I've walked the streets with my running mates. We've pounded on doors, not pounded on doors, we've knocked on doors. We have met the public. We started with the petition process, the interview process, being here. Also, I'm trying to instill a sense in my daughter, the nobility of being in public service, that there is a pride to be had. And I don't know what message I would be serving or sending to her if I decided to quit midstream after all this hard work. Because what example am I going to send to her, and what example am I going to send to my family and the community when they know that I decide to bail out midstream? I've been a public defender for 2.5 years. I've been doing public defense work for close to 27, and I haven't quit yet. And if you think that that isn't tough, come over to my office someday, and I'll show you what it's like to walk in my attorney's shoes. And if they haven't quit after doing that, trust me, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I'm definitely in it to win it also. And I'm a very, very hard worker. I've proven that with all my volunteerism that I've done in the community and working with special needs children and our seniors. And I've knocked on many doors and worked very hard. And I'm very, very compassionate and very involved in our community. So I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for our last question for the town board, it is, as a new resident to Rotterdam, please give me your most concise reasons why I made a good decision. And we start with Joseph.
Rotterdam has great people.
It's a town that's happening. It's a town that's growing. It's a town with a lot of potential. It's had potential all the way since I was a resident growing up, and it's changed, and it's changed for the positive. So those people who are coming in for the first time are going to see the growth that we anticipate on happening. So I would tell them, you made a good choice, and you lucked out by being in one of the finest towns we have in this county, if not in this state. So hang in, because good times are coming, and good things are going to be happening to this town. So you made a good choice, and welcome to the town of Rotterdam.
Well, I've lived here my entire life and raised 2 children here, and I believe in Rotterdam, and I believe in the people that live in Rotterdam. And I want to continue to work hard to keep Rotterdam a nice place to live. Thank you.
I, too, was a new resident 15 years ago when I married my husband, Charles. And I came here, and I don't know that I actually planned to stay. But after a while, I grew to love this area. We have wonderful school districts. We have a lot of activities for the kids, and my children enjoy this community. We enjoy this community, and I really do want to participate in making it better. Thank you.
Okay, now we will have a concluding statement from each of our candidates, and we'll start down at the other end with Stephen.
Once again, I'd like to thank the AAUW and the League of Women Voters. Ladies and gentlemen, I chose not to run a negative campaign or engage in any mudslinging. I remain committed to that quest for the remaining 12 days we have till election, despite recent social media posts aimed against me. I've represented murderers, rapists, arsonists, and drug dealers, which has given me a thick skin. So I'll just consider the source and move on, knowing that mudslinging has no place in local politics, and the voters of Rotterdam know that. I hope my nearly 30 years of public service work, being the head of 2 county law offices, has convinced you that my commitment to serving the people of Rotterdam is just as sincere as has been my commitment to representation of those people of Schenectady County who cannot afford an attorney. I hope I haven't convinced you that I possess those traits and attributes to continue the work already started on our roads, our parks, water system, solar energy, and commitment to the elderly, all of which are helping make Rotterdam better every day, and most of all, helping to build Rotterdam's future. Thank you.
Over the last 6 years, I've seen a change in this town, and not a change for the better. Our streets have been sullied by bladed houses and whole neighborhoods ruined through spot zoning. Someone needs to be an independent voice, one detached from the whims of the county, and whose only special interest is you, the taxpayer. We need to do more with less. We need to offer a better quality of life for the children with improved parks, and for the seniors through services. We need to do it in a smart way, however, one that keeps the character of our town intact. We as a community have much to offer. It just needs someone to reveal it. Today, more than ever, we need an independent voice for the people and not a louder echo for the county. I ask for your support in making that happen. I can be that person. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight.
Again, thank you everybody for coming out just to hear us and participate in this forum. I really do appreciate the opportunity to be able to sit here and discuss all of these issues with the residents of our community. What you can be sure of is that I have experience, I have dedication, and I can ensure that we thrive through fiscal restraint, responsible development, continued public safety, access to great parks and summer programs, and I care for our neighborhood's specific needs. I will be dedicated to the residents, the seniors, and the children of our community, and we must work together every day for what's best for our entire town. I am Rachel Rapazzo, and I do hope you consider me on Election Day.
If elected to town board, I know my duty is to make decisions and govern based on what is best for the entire town and not just a few. I believe government's purpose is to provide and maintain infrastructure, public services, public safety, while being frugal with taxpayer dollars and always being accountable to the residents. I don't believe government's role is to hire people and create jobs. Government should also not be the economic engine that creates development. If we as a town government working together can create a town that is safe, has lower taxes for businesses, good infrastructure and public services, the businesses will seek us out rather than us seeking them. In closing, I would say, you the voter need to determine who is best suited to serve on the town board based on their roots and history in this town, their love for this town, their management experience, and finally, who has the leadership qualities needed to make the sometimes tough decision. I believe that person is me, and I hope on election day you will agree as well. Thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for coming.
Okay, that concludes our candidates for town board, and I think they deserve a round of applause. Next, we'll have our supervisors. All right, I'm going to ask the people who are running for the supervisor position to introduce themselves. Just say their name.
Hi, I'm Rick Gentile. And I'm Steve Thomasone.
Okay, and we'll start with Richard to give a 2-minute overview of your running for the supervisor position.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. My name is Rick Gentile. I've lived in the town my whole life, 43 years old. I'm an elementary school teacher in Schenectady. My better half of 27 years, she owns a preschool in Gittlewood. And I guess I'm here because what I do for a living is I take care of people. And as a next natural progression, I want to take care of the town. And that means you. Because without you, there is no town. One of my platform cards, I have listening, learning, leading. I like all the answers everyone gave this evening, but the one thing I would really like to do is take this, what we're doing right now, and see this with more regularity. I don't like snapshots. It's like getting that bad picture at your wedding, and you can't do anything about it. This should be a monthly event. That's one of the things in my first item I will do, so I can communicate to you what exactly is going on. And then you can say, hey, Gentile, I don't like it. I don't like you. But I'm here to listen to you. And then maybe over time, we can build consensus and figure out what's going on. I wish you the best. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight, and to the League of Women Voters and the UW, for hosting the event. Bettering the quality of life for all of us in Rotterdam is our main focus, and I think if you look around town, you see a lot of activity. And we talked a little bit about spot zoning, some of these other issues, and hopefully we'll have some of the same questions and we'll be able to answer those for everyone's betterment here. Bettering the quality of life is the main focus, from ensuring vital services are funded and continue, like our police, our EMS, youth and senior services, our highway, to upgrading our water and sewer infrastructure, which leads to a positive image of our town and makes it a desirable place to live and work. We've applied for grants in the millions of dollars just these past couple of years to reduce the cost of the Hamburg Street sewer line, Lock Street stormwater solution, that's in Rotterdam Junction, and the purchase of property for the protection of the drinking water for those residents in Rotterdam Junction. We recently received a $5 million state award, which is the largest that the town's ever received. $3 million of that is a grant, $2 million low-interest loan, to improve our water quality, improve our water system in our community. And I have to thank everybody who is on the town board, regardless of party affiliation, for supporting that, because there are things that we do agree upon. We have differences, but in my opinion, in the big scheme of things, they're minor. We need a long-term plan to not only enhance our water system, but also to boost new zoning, which boosts the prospects for property owners from Main Street and Rotterdam Junction to Five Corners to Hamburg Street. And we have that in our mixed-use zoning overlay that we just passed recently. Our shared vision for new commercial and industrial projects and redeveloping empty buildings and development of senior housing and those related services throughout Rotterdam will increase our tax base, bring jobs, and keep property taxes low. I've committed myself and the town staff to improving the quality of life for the people. The 2018 budget provides us with needed equipment for all town operations, and we've established reserve accounts for sidewalks, drainage, sewer, and water infrastructure. The budget continues our efforts to make local government smarter, more effective, and responsible to constituents' needs, working every day to ensure Rotterdam is on the right path. Our administration is leading the way, and I just want to close with this. I decided to run for supervisor again, as I felt the town board required unity to get more accomplished throughout our town, and I think we're doing that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our questions for town supervisor. Do you think the town is receiving their fair share of taxes from the county?
So I guess the easiest way to answer that is you start off with a question back to you. You define what fair is. If I take the cookie and there's most of the cookie in my hand and you're like, hey, Gentile, what happened to the cookie? That's a decent response, but doesn't help you. What's a little more concrete is if I open up a hot dog stand across the street, for every new dollar of sales tax monies, I'm going to get less than a penny. Hopefully I have extra cash at hand so I can keep that hot dog stand going. but it's unacceptable. It's one of those things that's been going on for some time. So the question back to you is, why shouldn't we have our fair share?
So fair share is something that is perception more than anything else. In the town, about a third of the money that we receive for operations is from the county. And what I mean by that is you have $4 million coming in that comes in just through sales tax. We have other opportunities for more revenues from other sources, but the biggest thing that we have to do is work together with the county and shared services. We're doing that. From what was mentioned earlier with our gas purchases and other things, but the county also gives a lot of money in other ways. So Metroplex, for example, in just the past several years has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in Rotterdam, from Capitol Plaza to Curry Road, what you see happening there, to our sewer pump station that needed $300,000 worth of work. They kicked in a third of that money. So there is other money coming to Rotterdam. What you have to know is, in my book, in my opinion, is I would rather have the monies dedicated strictly to infrastructure projects coming from the county, working together with them as we have, and helping businesses and redeveloping property in the town, rather than give us another blank check. Because a blank check is only going to go for positions and benefits. What we need is more work together on infrastructure, water and sewer and roads, sidewalks, and that's what we're going to do in the next 2 years.
Our next question is, what is your opinion on shared services? And this time we'll start with Steve.
So there's a new targeted crime street initiative, shared services we've already mentioned a little bit here. The economic development team in Schenectady County, I think, bar none, is the best. And I'm not just saying that, and no one from the county is paying my salary to tell me that either. Just, you know, that's the other thing that I'm going to say it like this. It somewhat perturbs me that people call into question people's credibility without knowing really who they are. And I think that that's one of the things that as a community we have to stop doing. If we're going to work together for the betterment of everyone, then sitting at a table and talking to one another and actually collaborating is what we need to do, rather than, in my opinion, just say things out loud thinking other people are going to agree with us. It's just not how it should work. I don't do that with my family. We all sit down and we talk to each other, and that's the way we should all be working with one another here. Neighborhood revitalization, investment in parks. One of the things that the county has done in this budget is there's $100,000 in the county budget. That money is going to be spent at Westina Park in Rotterdam Junction. We're going to revitalize that park with those funds. So the county is working with us. All we have to do is sit down together and speak to one another, and it works.
Okay, thanks. I guess I go back to you again. As a school teacher, I like to define the problem. So once a month you're going to see me, if I'm elected, whether you like it or not. You can come, I'll bring some food. And we're going to sit down and say exactly what is shared services. So to give you something, if you go on YouTube and you type in strong towns, what they like to do is they like to test the efficacy of shared services. So for example, there was snow salt that a Midwestern town was using, and they had a certain square footage, and they measured it out, and they did a field test to see if using the county salt was better than using the town. Now that sounds complicated, but what they did about a month later is they came back to you, they said this worked. Somebody argued, we get it, but it's on a small scale. How are we going to share things that are much more expensive? Well, that's the whole point. You have to start incrementally, and then you build out. But you have to understand exactly what's going on, or it doesn't work.
Thank you. Our last question for the town supervisors is, what do you hope to accomplish as town supervisor? And Rick, we'll start with you.
I hear a lot about, fiscal responsibility. I probably have the oldest car in the parking lot out there. I drive a 20-year-old Volvo on purpose. I bought a small home in Rotterdam on purpose. Even my political palm card, when I brought this out, they said, where's your picture? I said, well, I got an estimate for one, but I'm going to get back to you. And I didn't get a lot of laughs on that. But what I hope to accomplish, this is kind of a marathon. You're going to see me again. I mentioned my motto is listening, learning, leading. It's listening. Like even tonight, I'm sitting here and trying my hardest to stay here with you. Because through that, I'm going to pick up something. And then I'll be able to give even more back to you. And that's what I think a leader should do. And That's about it.
Well, in summary, we've stayed under the tax cap of 1%, actually working together as a town board, we're down to about 0.5%. We've ensured, with that, residents receive their star rebates, which no one's mentioned here tonight. That's super important for everyone. We've eliminated the $50 brush fee, as we promised. We've ensured public safety. One of the main things we did was we restaffed our water and sewer maintenance department. And if anyone knows that work alone, that was all pushed to our highway department over the past few years. And what happened with that was not enough attention was paid to our water and sewer maintenance. Now it is happening. So when we talk about jobs, we didn't create more jobs. What we did was we went out and basically reorchestrated, if you will, what we already had in our town staff. We're making more and more improvements on a daily basis. You look at our parks, we've made tremendous improvements to all of our parks, especially our main parks with new basketball courts, tennis courts, and again, thanks to the county legislature for what they're doing. The highway superintendent and the town board and I hopefully next year will be working on is the relocation of our leaf and brush grinding operation. That costs us a tremendous amount of money, and we're going to look to relocate that and do something in a much broader sense to minimize the tax burden on everyone. So ensuring fiscal stability and improving the quality of life for everyone is what we're going to do, and I appreciate your consideration on November 7th. Thank you. And I really think we need more questions. I feel a little, everyone's else got 5.
I know, but that's all I have, folks. Okay. All right, and we're going to go to the concluding statements, and we are going to start with Steve this time.
Okay, thank you. So, there's much more to do. Rotterdam is a great town with a suburban and rural atmosphere, and we have great access to infrastructure, 890, I-90, the river, and I think we have tremendous opportunities for commercial and industrial development to bring more businesses and jobs to Rotterdam. Look at the rail just along the industrial park or the Rotterdam Corporate Park. And we have to continue working with Metroplex and our county development team because guess what? That's what we have. And more importantly, we are working together, and I think the results are visible here, just on Hamburg Street alone, with what DOT is doing. And I know that is tough for a lot of people here on Hamburg Street. It's going to be concluded in just a matter of months. And once it's done, you're going to see sidewalks, turning lanes. It's going to be a beautiful infrastructure here on Hamburg Street. And I think as our record shows, we've been successfully working together to receive funds to rebuild our water and sewer infrastructure. And I know I keep saying that, but that is the most important, one of the most important things we do as a community is making sure that we have adequate access to water. In the near future, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to actually sell water to neighboring municipalities because that's the kind of water and, frankly, the amount of water that we have down on Rice Road in our water plant. We can begin selling and making money on our water system, on our water, excuse me. So a bit more of what to expect in 18 is more town meetings and outreach, particularly in Rotterdam Junction and here at our senior center as we make improvements to Town Hall. We're going to be making some improvements in next year and introduce and discuss new planning and zoning initiatives to what types of businesses and housing residents and everyone else want to see throughout our neighborhoods. We're going to improve our town core and continue on working together. I want to let us, and I said this in the past, so I want to repeat it again. I think that we need to all be thankful for our town and all who live and work here and spend more time on what we agree on and move towards a town and our people's future forward rather than, again, just sit there and constantly nitpick and disagree with each other. I think we're better served together rather than apart. Thank you.
Thanks again for coming out tonight. Like I told you, I've lived here my entire life, not necessarily in this building over on Paul Avenue. As I mentioned, I'm a school teacher. I've been teaching about, 18 years, and I spend a lot of time with people, mostly people that are struggling. Trying to make basic needs met. And I come to them from a different perspective because my needs are already met. Just having the luxury of living in a country and a system where I can sit here and talk to you. One of the young boys in my classroom just came from Afghanistan. And regardless of your views on our American policy, he was so grateful to have snack and fresh water. So those things are important to kind of reset our reset button. As I mentioned, my platform in generality is listening, learning, leading. What I've listened about tonight is we need to build consensus. We need to talk a little bit more. Actually, we need to talk a lot more. And that's not easy. You know, we talk about families. We love our family, and when we love our smartphones. But we don't always, no, that's wonderful. That's the age we live in. We don't always like our families. We have to go back to that idea. That common thread is, if we're going to take care of each other and take care of this town, the founding fathers said, we're trying to form a more perfect union here. They never said you couldn't disagree. Thank you.
Thank you. And in conclusion, the League of Women Voters and the American Association of University Women would like to thank the candidates for their commitment to running for office. Please vote November 7th. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Any questions about your polling place can be answered by calling the Board of Elections. Information can also be obtained online at vote411.org. Thank you for coming and becoming a more informed voter.